Imagine being such a loser character that this wife would rather have sex with a ground dragon than be with you. That's how much negative aura Regulus actually has. So, this week's episode of ReZero was amazing. It had a longer length and we finally saw the demise of Regulus Corneus, the Sin Archbishop of Greed. Most people did not like his character because he's such an insufferable person, although he did have quite a lot of memes about violating his rights. So let's go over the episode. We mainly see Emilia play a pivotal role in this episode, going to the wives and enacting Subaru's plan. And this shows that Emilia is no longer the damsel in distress. She actually has her own, volition. She does the things she needs to do, and she will essentially freeze all of the wives. And by the way, she's the one that got them to all open up by asking them their name. Now, what's really interesting is the sort of link back to Arc 1, where Subaru asked for Emilia's name. And you notice that Emilia did the exact same thing here, asked Sylphie her name. Not only this, we are seeing another sort of reflection between Arc 4, where Subaru had to help Emilia overcome her past, and Emilia did the same thing here with Sylphie and the wives, allowed them to overcome their past. So we see the sort of passing of the torch with this episode. All of the wives, including Emilia, actually wanted to essentially end their own lives because of how unlikable Regulus is. So we see Emilia and the wives all put swords and sort of glass shards to their necks. By the way, what I didn't understand is, why did Emilia put the glass... Well, she conjured a glass weapon and Subaru had to stop her, but couldn't she just freeze herself, similar to what she did to the wives? I'm not too sure about that. Maybe there's a bit more explanation in the light novel, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But we can see that Emilia is making decisions, but when Subaru calls out to her, she immediately stops because she trusts Subaru. We also see that Emilia finally snaps. She finally shows her true emotions. Like, Emilia is always seen as this sort of ditzy girl. You know, she's a bit airheaded. She likes everyone. Even someone like Echidna, who absolutely roasts her. You know, Emilia will always sort of seek forgiveness. Even Felt in Season 1. Felt robs her, and Emilia will go out of her way to, you know, like, sort of tell her off, but let her go. When Subaru's getting beaten up, you know, she'll save him. But Regulus is the one person where she despises Regulus, okay? And, like, we see her snap for the first time. And then we have a sort of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where Emilia beats the shit out of Regulus, which is amazing. We're seeing Regulus in his pathetic form. It's absolutely amazing. Now, we do have a Regulus' speech. It has been chopped down from the light novel. But to really understand what's going on is, when Regulus was a young child, before he got his authority, his parents were broke, and he always saw all of the generosity he received from his siblings and parents as them looking down on him. So when Regulus obtained his authority, the first thing he did was kill his entire family. And then he had a childhood friend, this girl, and he killed her family and then forced his childhood friend to become his first wife. And then eventually, you know, this wife died. Regulus built a grave for this first wife, but what he found was that this first wife never smiled, and he sort of understands this, and he's sort of having a mental breakdown, and he's saying, why are you laughing at me, why are you laughing at me? And essentially this is the idea, like, these wives do not like Regulus. He's such a loser. And I'm not sure why some people on Twitter and stuff imitate Regulus or like simp him, because he's such a disgusting character. Another thing to note is that Regulus is considered one of the strongest characters in ReZero, and the fact that someone like Subaru, who's considered really, really weak, didn't die once towards Regulus. Again, this is one of the things that Tappei talks a lot about, is this idea of affinity. Okay, some characters can beat another character because of affinity, and Regulus is just a bad matchup when it comes to Subaru, because Subaru knows how to push his buttons and manipulate him. Even, I'm not sure if you saw this, but when Reinhardt was flying back down, but if you look into Subaru's eyes, you can actually see Reinhardt in Subaru's eyes flying down. So we could see Subaru saw that and was like, okay, let's do a 1v1, you can fight Reinhardt. And Reinhardt absolutely disrespects Regulus and literally stands on his back and then gives him the kick back down to the floor. So amazing battle. By the way, the scenes with Invisible Providence, with Regulus's parasitic heart, amazing. And I think one of the best things to me was when Regulus is using his authority and the screen sort of flickers, and when Regulus is dying, we see the transition every time he activates his authority. Is such an amazing scene. What they've done, the way they've sort of showcased it, the animation was beautiful. The OST was amazing. So again, we've had another amazing episode of ReZero, and that of course leaves us with 2 archbishops defeated, and we of course have a few more left. It seems that the next episode is pivoting to Garfiel and Wilhelm. So we can see that Garfiel is transformed into his tiger form, so hopefully he'll have the advantage now, but we'll see what happens there. But this was an amazing episode. One of the most important things that has happened is that Reinhardt literally just jumped back from the moon, and he was perfectly fine, so he can sort of adapt to space, which is something that Tappei has mentioned before. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see the ReZero world, because the ReZero world is actually flat, which is something we do get in the manga. Not only that, something else that happened which did kind of annoy me was the fact that they introduced another, not really an important character, but an interesting character in the break time episode, namely a character called Diaz Fatsbomb. The reason why this character is really interesting is that this character is an elf, and this elf was called to the Roswell Manor to essentially look at Emilia and observe Emilia. And what's really interesting about her is that this elf is a really good cook. So she's like the Shokugeki no Soma character in ReZero, where she can make the best food that's ever made. So could probably beat Reinhardt in a cooking competition. But again, I'm not sure why they keep introducing these characters in the break time episode. I actually did want to make a video on her at once upon a time, but I didn't do that. But hopefully you enjoyed my video, and I'll see you guys next time.